The house always felt too quiet when they left. My son, his wife, and their children would come bursting through the door on holidays, their laughter filling every corner. But once they were gone, the silence would settle in again like an old, unwanted companion. I told myself I didn't mind that this old house and the little patch of garden outside were enough to keep me company. But deep down, I knew the truth. I longed for more than just brief visits. I longed to feel like I mattered in their lives. One spring morning, I woke up with aching knees, but I still forced myself outside. The garden was waiting. Planting season had always been my favorite. It gave me a sense of renewal, a promise that something beautiful was coming. I bent over the soil, my hands sinking into the earth. But I couldn't ignore the thought that I was doing it all alone. My son had promised to help this year. He had promised that the children would love to plant seeds with me. Yet there I was, crouching in the dirt, while the voices I longed to hear were nowhere round. That afternoon, I found out why. A neighbor came by with a smile and said, "Oh, I saw your son and his family at the airport. They're off to the coast for a week. Lucky them." I froze. The shovel in my hand slipped, and the soil crumbled back into the hole I had dug. A vacation. They hadn't told me, not a word. My son had looked me in the eyes just days ago and said, "We'll be here to help, Mom. Don't worry." And yet, here I was forgotten again, left behind on the farm to wrestle with the garden and my own aching heart. That night, I sat in the old wooden chair by the window. The moonlight fell across the room, lighting up the photographs on the wall. I stared at them, my son, as a little boy holding my hand, his smile so wide, his trust in me so pure. When had that changed? When had I become a burden instead of a mother to be cherished? My chest ached with questions that had no answers. Days turned into a week, and I planted every seed myself. My body hurt, my hands swelled, but I kept going, because deep down, I wanted something to outlast me. If my family had no time to share their lives with me, then maybe the garden could be my company. Flowers didn't leave, vegetables didn't lie. The earth always gave back what you put into it. People, not always. When my son finally returned, he walked in with tanned skin and laughter, his wife carrying bags of souvenirs. They looked so happy, so untouched by guilt. My son hugged me quickly, the kind of hug you give out of duty, not love, and said, "Mom, you look tired. Did you manage the garden?" Did I manage? I looked at my blistered hands, at the lines deepening across my face, at the silence I had carried for days. Yes, I whispered, I managed. But inside, something shifted. I realized I couldn't go on waiting for scraps of love. I had given my life to raise a son who now saw me as an afterthought. I had poured myself into their world, only to be left behind in mine. That night, when the house grew quiet again, I opened an old wooden box hidden under my bed. Inside were documents, savings, letters I had written to myself over the years. And as I looked through them, I smiled for the first time in weeks, because they thought I was weak. They thought I was just an old woman with no choices left. But they were wrong. I still had power. I still had a voice. And I was going to make sure they remembered who I was, not just when they needed something, but always. The garden outside was growing just as I had hoped. But little did they know, something else was growing too. The strength I thought I had lost. And soon they would see it.